Good morning, everybody. Shift your mindset here with a new episode. Back from Italy. I had an amazing time. Few days off. It was wonderful. Wedding from my brother-in-law. Was nice to have a wedding in a quiet place, beautiful view with all like-minded people. But we're back, and one of the things I was thinking about the last 6 days I was offline was one reason why Jehovah Witnesses will eventually snap. And that is the whole thing about the new disfellowshipping, removing rules. I was talking to somebody and it's now easier to get reinstated. Back in the days, when I was a Jehovah Witness, if you committed a serious sin, it was a year at least. You had to sit in the back row, be quiet, and write a letter, hoping for the mercy of those elders to reinstate you eventually. And of course, if they had family members who were disfellowshipped, it was easier for them to get back while you were still sitting in the background, waiting for your turn, showing up at the Kingdom Hall, and that was the sign that you have mercy. So it's just for the outside world to see. If you are sitting in the Kingdom Hall and you don't give a shit, then still they see it as repentance and eventually you get reinstated because you have no works that you can show them, because you can't go into the ministry, you can't lead a Bible study, you can't give answers on the weekly Watchtower study. So for me, it was already a sketchy thing if people get removed. But now, and that's the reason why Jehovah Witnesses will snap eventually, is it's easy to get reinstated. Not only for people who left the organization now to come back, because we all know they changed those rules because more and more people are leaving the religion. So it's very important for them to make it easier for you to come back, so they keep their numbers. Now, a lot of people are coming back from the world, but also it's easier now for people, and they had it in the ministry school or in the elders school, that if a brother now cheats on his wife, had sex outside their marriage, after 3 months he can be reinstated again. So what will the effect be? It's good for the organization because you're an active member again, but what are the consequences in the minds of the current Jehovah Witnesses? Because the old generation is all about purity, the doctrine of purity. And they want to make you sweat. They want to make you work for it. They want to see repentance. They want to see you suffer for a while. And now, after 3 months, even serious sins are just, they're letting you back into their herd of sheep. But what are the consequences? One of them is they are getting, like Catholics, more mainstream. Just say you're sorry, and in no time, with little to less effort, with no effort, you're welcome back into the community. But back in the days, there weren't that much serious sins. Maybe once a year or twice once in 2 years that someone was removed or disfellowshipped. And the whole congregation was, but now it will occur much more because it's easier to confess and it's easier to get back into the flock. But what are the consequences? One of them is that people in the Jehovah's Witnesses will see more and more that the spotlight is on the wrongdoer, not on the victim. It's like in your elementary school or high school. The one who's good in math gets no help from the teacher. But the one who is failing gets all the attention. And that's also in the Jehovah's Witnesses now. If that brother is sleeping with another sister outside of his marriage, there is all that effort to get him back and to get him back into the flock. All the attention goes to him. But there is no attention, or almost no attention, to that sister who he cheated on, his wife. All the attention goes to him, to get him back in that kingdom hall, to get him back into the flock after only 3 months. That sister has to stay quiet. That sister can't talk with other members of the congregation about what happened to them. Only the elders know. And, of course, the elders' wives. But there is no one caring for you as a victim. It's also with the abuse cases. The whole thing is around getting the wrongdoer to repentance. There's no care for you after someone committed a serious sin against you. No, you're all alone. So that will bite them eventually in the, we know all what it is. Because it will occur a lot more now. People are getting, now it's easier to confess. It's like the Catholic, you go to the priest, you confess, he does something and it's forgiven. So there is no serious time that you have to do anymore. So the one who is the victim will be the victim. There's no caring, there's no attention for you, there's no help for you to process it. It's no one you can talk to. It's a scary thing, people, that you are left alone and that all the attention goes to your cheating husband or wife, the other way around, and they go above and beyond to get you and keep you in that organization, to keep you in that congregation. And that is one of the consequences that will eventually bite them. Another one is that the older generation, what I said, is about purity. They want to keep it clean. And if there are so many people just reinstated after a few months, there are gonna be doubts in those heads. The only negative thing about that is they have the sunk cost fallacy. They have invested too much. They are too old to say goodbye to that religion. But if that religion is no different from other mainstream religions, the whole thing about we against the world is gone in the Jehovah's Witnesses. There is almost nothing left that separates them from other religions. And we think, oh, it's easier to stay. That's negative because they don't wake up then. But if it's easier to stay, people, it's also easier to leave. You think, just like your husband or your wife, it's easier for them to commit a serious sin and to just come back and go on with your life. It's also now easier for the victims to say goodbye to that religion. And that's a positive thing. You have to change, you have to shift your mindset in that thing. It's easier to stay. The governing body thinks they did themselves a good favor because the numbers will rise a little bit maybe in the beginning of those new rules, but eventually, if it's easier for people to stay, it's also easier for people to leave, because they see that people are hurting, that people get hurt by their loved ones. But it's also easier then for them to think, hey, I don't want this anymore. Hey, there's more attention for the one who's abusing someone, or who's cheating on someone, or another serious sin. But hey, where am I? So it will happen more and more. And if it happens more, after a few times, maybe, even the most loyal husband or wife will wake up and think, hey, that's strange. He does this, or she does this, and it's gone. Clean sheet, and we can go on to continue serving Jehovah. But God, Jehovah, whatever you call it, hasn't changed. And I'm not a big fan of keeping somebody in the dark for more than a year or whatever. But that's the core doctrine of Jehovah's Witnesses. Everything has to be squeaky clean. Serious sins have to be casted out. But now you can talk to somebody, now you can greet somebody. Now somebody is not isolated anymore. But if somebody isn't isolated, the other partner of those people are isolated. There is no caring for the victim, and that will bite them eventually, because the loyalty of people is gone. They aren't loyal to another because they can just change partners, come back into the religion, and it's accepted. You have to accept it as a Jehovah's Witness, and that's where the critical thinking will start. That's why they're feeling, they shut off their feelings, but that's why the feeling keeps on bothering them. And that's a big positive thing for us ex-JWs, because eventually somebody will choose for themselves. If it's easier to just commit things and come back, it's also easier for you to say, hey, but I don't want this anymore, I'm out. So this is one of the reasons I think people will snap. Also the elders, I think they will also snap on this one, because elders are all about following the rules. Elders are all about keeping somebody in their place. They want to dominate something. Now they are left with nothing they can do. They have less saying in the matters, because from top down, now the doctrine, the policies is that somebody can be reinstated a lot faster than the elders themselves want to. They can't force somebody now to sit in the back for 6 months or a year. And it will create a confusion within them, because rationally they have to do it, but emotionally they don't want to do it. So the pressure on those elders will be bigger than ever, because they are realizing now that they are part of a company with some lame-ass policies. They don't have the freedom to interpret it their own, but they just have one thing, and that's attendance. If a wrongdoer is present every time in the Kingdom Hall, every meeting, then they know after 3 or 4 or 5 months they have to reinstate that person, even if that person committed a serious sin. And that will create confusion in their heads, because they know from all the days that someone has to earn his way back into the congregation. And it's harder now for them to see repentance, to see good deeds, what lead to loving arrangement to welcome somebody back. So the governing body thinks they did a good job with it, and they do, because the numbers will increase, because it's easy now to get reinstated, but you get the purity of your congregation will be gone. Instead of just one person who is shunned, now there are a lot of problems arising on the surface, and the elders will be busier than ever with all this nonsense. And they have to make decisions against what they want to do. So they get problems. They get more mental health problems than ever. Also the people in the congregation, because what somebody did to them. It's not nice to see that a serious sinner is welcomed back after 3 months. That doesn't feel good by the Jehovah's Witnesses. We all know now the world is different, and it's not black or white, exactly whatever. But it will give some Jehovah's Witnesses a free out of jail card, that they can do whatever they like without serious consequences. But on the other hand, the victim will be waking up sooner. And that's a good thing, people. So this is my take on one of the things that help Jehovah's Witnesses eventually to snap. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you see, what you hear about this topic. And we see each other on the very next episode.